Everyone, this is Diksha Tiwari, and our team's overall theme is healthcare. I will be talking about the disparities in healthcare faced by the LGBTQ plus community. And so the issues for healthcare have received significant attention from policymakers, legislators, educators, and community leaders regarding access to health insurance, a lack of healthcare providers during the last several years. A recent report from the Institute of Medicine highlighted the need for such long overdue attention. And often these disparities that affect the LGBTQ plus community are very closely tied to the social stigma that lingers to this day. As to how to address the disparities, that has to be done, of course, in two steps, which would be ensuring a safe and more inclusive environment for the community and sensitizing the medical professionals and other staff towards the issues that is faced. Next slide, please. As for the challenges that are faced by the community, which is an overall environment of ostracization and stigma, lack of proper addressing of gender or sexuality in admission forms, refusal to use pronouns, the landmark NALSA judgment the landmark NALSA judgment stated that the recognition of one's gender identity lies at the heart of the fundamental right to dignity. Gender, as already indicated, constitutes the core of one's sense of being as well as an integral part of person's identity. Therefore, it is very crucial that there is a right to recognition, which a lot of hospitals still do not have. Other issues include solving the process of admission, emphasizing more on the identity and sexuality instead of actually addressing the issue for which the treatment is being, the patient is seeking treatment. In case of psychiatrists and psychotherapists, there's obviously the problem of stigma wherein people consider it a sort of a disease, a disorder that can be treated, the conversion therapy problem, of course. People with same-sex partners have difficulty explaining their sexual life to the doctors because of taboo, and doctors in general are not trained to and equipped properly to understand the community and their problems. The strategies that can be used are, of course, you have to develop and adopt a non-discrimination policy that protects patients from discrimination. There has to be a mechanism in case there is an instance of discrimination, creating a more welcoming environment that is inclusive of LGBTQ patients, facilitating discourse of sexual orientation and gender identity while remaining aware that coming out is an individual process, advancing effective communication, which includes using gender-neutral pronouns, keeping in mind that whatever information the patient shares is very private and confidential, listening to the patient's choice of language while describing their sexual orientation, promoting community involvement advocacy, identifying and supporting staff or physicians who have special expertise in LGBTQ issues, and obviously conducting trainings. And more importantly, a law sort of seeking ban on conversion therapy is much needed. Over to my teammate.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Prani, and I'll begin right out by introducing the question which I'll be dealing with in this presentation, as well as in my written submission. That is, how to enhance the outreach of healthcare in a hostile and underdeveloped environment. Now, this question in itself is a dual-pronged issue. The hostile environment here refers to the Naxalite or Maoist infested areas, and underdeveloped here refers to the tribal regions or the tribal communities. So the model for my policy brief is the state of Chhattisgarh, where I hail from. As some of you may already know, Chhattisgarh is one of those states which have been severely plagued by the problem of Naxalism or Maoism, and it also has a large tribal population. If you look at the map of Chhattisgarh on the slide here, the red zone, which you see, which accounts for about 30% of the land area of the state. This region is known to be the hotbed of active Naxal presence and naturally remains extremely underdeveloped. And the first side effect of all that is a lack of healthcare in that region. So making available and practicing healthcare in Naxal affected areas proposes two major problems. Firstly, the medical professionals simply do not want to work there. And secondly, a general lack of awareness and belief in superstitions among the tribal communities that is rampant. So any proposed solution through policy has to tackle two issues at once. That is, they have to ensure a safe work environment for medical professionals, as well as to sensitize the tribal and rural population. Now, why do the doctors not want to work there? Here I've listed some of the basic challenges, which are also the motivation or inspiration behind this policy. A severely limited presence of NGOs and private players in Naxal affected areas, naturally due to threat to life and due to threat of abduction and all that. So any sort of solution has to flow from the government side itself. So what has the government done to tackle these things? There are various security policies and healthcare outreach policies, but none of them are tailored towards outreach in Naxal affected areas as of yet. So I've mentioned two initiatives here, and the second initiative here, it's a policy initiative, and it's an interesting piece of policy which compels the graduating doctors to serve in rural areas for a fixed period in order to get their degrees. So quite a lot of states have started implementing it. Chhattisgarh is one of them. And as you can see, the case law I mentioned here, Association of Medical Super Specialty Aspirants and Residents versus Union of India, it was a writ petition filed by the medical association challenging the policy itself, that the doctors did not want to be compelled to work in rural areas for 2 or 3 years. But the Supreme Court here upheld the policy and said that it was necessary for the development of healthcare in rural areas. So I'll end by giving a sort of a teaser of the policy solution for my written submission. I've adopted a dual-pronged solution with 2 angles. In the outreach angle, I've tried to propose a creative solution to the scarcity of resources issue by suggesting a method of parent and doctor government hospitals instead of having multiple different facilities in rural areas independently, which naturally decreases the efficiency of outreach and efficiency of medical personnel. So that's it from my side. Thank you for your attention. Over to Saika.
Okay. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Next slide, please. Hello. Hello.
Yes, you are audible. Saket, please go on.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Hello.
Hello.
Pranit, next slide.
Can you see the slide? I'm changing the slides.
Yeah,
there are only 3 slides.
My side, please.
Saikat, can you see the slide? Is there a network issue?
I think there's a network issue. I can see it.
Can we just wait for a few seconds? If he returns, he'll complete the time limit which we have left. Otherwise, we can move on.
Sure.
Yeah. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes. Please
Okay.
continue.
Okay. My task is to talking about the healthcare in the West Bengal. So as I am belonging from the West Bengal, so I have prepared for the healthcare of the West Bengal. So here I have issued some. I have jotted down some issues. Like the first point is that the public expenditure on health is abysmally low, and it needs and it made up around in India in 2017-18 is much lower than in China. It's all about 3%, and Sri Lanka is just like 2%. The next point is the per capita expenditure on health in West Bengal has increased majority from around the 552 in 2014-15 and reached 643 in 2019-20. Is a 1920 and 2019 and 20 is a base year in 2012. The rate of change in expenditure on health has fallen from 16% 2015-16 on 0.4 in 2018-19. So it's a drastically change from 16% to 0.4%. Next slide, please. As you have seen in this slide, that okay. Next slide. No. Okay, health scheme in the West Bengal. The health scheme, as I'm talking about the health scheme in West Bengal, is Shastro Shati. It's a health scheme of government would cover the entire population of the state, and the government plan to extend the cashless. A cashless scheme where every family member is provided to 5 lakh rupee, and the card is issued in the name of the family member. A female family member. The state government provided a Shastro Shati smart card to people as in order to part of the Duare Sarkar, the doorstep of the government. Next slide, please. The counterattack against the health scheme. The Bengal government health scheme is a hoax. It may be a hoax. It could be a hoax, or it not could be a hoax. So, as the reason behind that, the fund required for the scheme are much lower than the West Bengal government annual budget. So that's why I'm talking about it's an entire West Bengal health issue of the West Bengal, and that's why I'm talking about the health issue, it's a massive change. It's a big issue in order to get back from a government supportive scheme. So I will end up here, and thank you all.
Thank you, team Driving Change, for your presentation. Next, I would like to invite rural sector and women during COVID-19 team. So yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. My team is completely unprepared, but I can present whatever I have made, if that's all right, because...
Yes, sure.
All right. 1 second. All right, is it visible on the screen?
Yes, it's
all right. So my group members consist of Dhwani and Rahil, both of whom are not available. So I'm focusing on the women aspect of the rural sector, how they have faced the challenges and issues, and what the government has planned to improve in such sector, especially in Odisha, how we see the role of SHGs, especially, and ASHA workers, how they have improved in bringing many changes locally. So with rural sector, we see that mostly it consists of the agricultural workers, obviously, but what we also need to see in rural sector is that there are many small holder farmers, and most of them and half of them are women who are the backbone of agriculture and the guardians of household food security in their community, and which actually require financial, social, and emotional support in whatever the work that they are doing. And along with that, we see that with the pandemic, it has completely changed the nature of the women, how they have previously been given only few leadership roles, and this shows the loopholes that we need to progressively make changes in such areas where women are given more leadership role and more support through which they can successfully help bring such changes because of the COVID pandemic. So first thing is that with the involvement of self-help groups, many women have come up with working in areas like building, having mask, and we see that such network has actually supported women financially and also psychosocially, which has strengthened the solidarity of women. Also, we see that with the pandemic, it shows the study results have shown that SHGs have actually become a collective platform to strengthen social networks and also provide economic support to the members of the family. So now, we see with the pandemic, even before the pandemic, there was a lack of education and employment opportunities for women, where women were naturally not supported to take up any work outside the household facility, and they were highly unpaid in the domestic work, and there was high risk of maternal mortality. And with the pandemic, we also see that the domestic violence has increased to a certain extent. And with the weak land tenure security, it also shows that the women are not secured financially to even propose the thought of getting out of being domestically violent or abused. So as we see that women, female agricultural workers take up about 43% of agricultural labor force. They are highly underrepresented and given less unpaid and low paid part-time jobs. So with the lockdown, there's also a shift of digital communications, where women have come up with ways to provide information and also bring awareness about the pandemic. With the pandemic, it has also brought in many positives, which through parties involved SHGs, ASHA workers, and also the female agricultural workers, we see that they have they have come up with new solutions to they have come up with solutions to disseminate information through, in Bihar, we see that women have come up through songs, through text, through videos to inform people about the COVID and also its implications. Along with that, we see the digital tools have been adapted by women to involve the produce in having the connection, building the connection between the markets and their farms, and also new techniques to be developed for helping women to empower them and also increase their capability. And while also assisting women in their problems, which can be further recommended to provide feedback and improve the methods through which they are having such change. And also mechanisms to help reduce domestic violence, which can be giving them financial support for one thing, because in the society where the women are dependent on men and with being paid very low, such mechanisms are important and necessary to help reduce such violent cases. And also gender equality initiatives are necessary to bring such changes into society, which can be taken up by the government and also the local representatives. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Minnie, for your presentation.
Just 1 second, Shashi. Minnie, so